Thanks a lot for tuning into Self Mastery. I'm Gary, and I'm going to be reading for you today, and I'm so grateful that I can do that for you. I have designed a spread. It's called the Love Letter. And what this is the love letter that you never received from someone you have loved, or someone that is gone, or a relationship that has failed, or whatever. And I was thinking about this one time. It was like, all right, what if they did want to send you a love letter? What if they did and they didn't? So I asked the universe, I said, let's design a spread on that scenario. So if you have ever lost somebody, if you have ever loved and lost, I know that they wanted to tell you something. I do know this. So it's a 6 card spread, and it's beautiful. It's how they see you. I'm going to tell you what, I'm going to cut the deck. I'm going to cut the deck here. All right. So, how they see you, why they didn't prioritize your needs, how could they have shown you more worthy? That's a very special card there. How could they have been more authentic in your relationship? What they needed to let go, and something they needed to acknowledge. So that's our 6 card spread, and we'll go over the questions so you don't get confused. The overall energy is the Emperor. That's our overall energy. It's the Emperor. That's beautiful. That's a good thing because it's a control thing. It's a mastery. Again, we're always talking about self-mastery and elements like that. But it's a mastery of and it's beautiful because let me tell you. So you have the Emperor. It's the stability. It's going to stabilize you. It's going to make you feel better once you listen to this reading and how they could have saw you. All right. So the overall energy is established. It's stable. It's it's solid. That's the best I can put it. And that's a really good overall energy to have in this love letter. Okay. How did they see you? The moon. They saw you as the moon. Hidden. I don't know if it was their thoughts or their feelings hidden from you. And maybe you were hidden from them too. And that's what I'm definitely sensing here. Hidden as in the way of I'm I'm feeling that, and this card's been coming up a lot lately. But the true feelings were never really revealed. Nothing was revealed. It was always in the cast. It was always in the shadow. It never came to light. It was almost like it was in the dark. Okay? Never in the day. And with that, we have clarity. With that, we have illumination. And I believe that the relationship could have totally been illuminated if it was just allowed to see daylight, if it was just allowed to see the light, the sun. And that's what we're getting here. So they see you as the moon. They see you as tamed, untamed, challenging, wavy, moody in a sense too. And the emotions they had kind of again waned in and out, in and out. It could have been your relationship was in and out, in and out. Again, that's what we're getting here. And we're going to clarify that. Why they didn't prioritize your needs, okay? Why they didn't prioritize your needs. And we have the 5 of Wands. Well, there was a lot of inner conflict with this. There was a lot there was a change aspect of it. Okay, now that we have the moon here, it's even opening up more. But there was inner conflict with passion. And there was a change. And the change I'm going to definitely say is The change could have been a new feeling, new emotion, new passions you've had, okay? That's what we're getting here. The other thing too is when you have the again, it sure beats the five of swords. So it was a passion element. And it could have been too the fact of what you have here sometimes is a job. I'm sensing a job too. There were jobs to do. There were things to do. And they weren't getting done. There was a lot of it was just disentanglement. And they didn't prioritize it. They didn't prioritize your needs because of that, because of this inner conflict. So, how could they have shown you more worthy? How could they have shown you more worthy? I just said the Five of Swords. That's amazing. Well, the first thing I always get with this is the fight, verbalization, communication. And when you need to show someone they're worthy, you don't show them as much as you tell them. And then you have to have your actions back up what you're talking about. That's one major thing. And when we have the Five of Wands here, that would be considered the action to back up. Okay. So I'm definitely, it's amazing. I can't believe it. You know, well, I can believe it, but the Five of Swords is definitely is perfect for that. How could they have shown you more worthy? And that's by communication, by talking to you. And a lot of things don't have to die if you can talk it through, you know? One thing about it, communication, the swords, there's an authenticity. And this is our next question. This is why I love this spread so much in this love letter. But how could they have been more authentic? Well, we already know through communication, but let's see what the cards have to say. Temperance. Mm. Pouring, okay, what we have here with the temperance card, and I like this, what we have here is the pouring out of emotion, but it was unbalanced emotion. Okay. I felt like there was a cup that was leaky. Now we're not in the cups in a sense, but yeah, the Two of Cups are here in the temperance card. So it's always a choice to communicate, to show an action, 5 5, right? You got the 10, that's a complete thought process right there. But with the temperance card, being authentic is making sure you're balanced with your priorities and their priorities. And that makes you more authentic in any relationship, especially in this love letter. So here we go, how they saw you in the shadow, why they didn't prioritize your needs, because it was inner conflict. How could they have shown you to be more worthy? By communication. And how could they be more authentic? And that's keeping that balance of emotion from them and you. What did they had to let go of something. They were holding on to something. That's why your relationship never took off. It never bloomed in a sense. So they had to let go of something. And what that is, this six this is beautiful. This Six of Cups. They were holding on to the past. I get this a lot when I'm doing this love letter reading. I get this a lot. Uh, a lot of relationships letting go of the past and bringing that along in the new relationship. Like, you remind me of this, or you said this and this brought me into this, or you said this and that brought me into that. And with the Six of Cups here, that's what we're definitely getting. We are escalating though. We have the five and now sixes. So it started to get a little bit heavy, heavy. And that's where the temperance card really works well with this, because that does show you that there was off balance here. See, this relationship never bloomed. I'm sensing that it never bloomed One, because the moon, it was always, it never had the sun to germinate. We could say that too. But you cannot sit on a swing thinking about everything but what you need to be thinking about now. That is definite, and that's definitely what I'm saying here. Something they needed to acknowledge too. So they couldn't let go of the past. They couldn't let go of maybe the comparisons or whatever. But now they had to acknowledge something. Two of Swords. Wow. Yeah. The decision to communicate, period. So they've never, to me, in this relationship, seriously, the communication was lackluster, hence the moon card too. But the choice to communicate, the choice to move, you know? So to me, with the Two of Swords here, it's interesting. How could, it's interesting. How could they show you worthy? Communication, 5. And then you have the swords here and something they needed to acknowledge. That is beautiful. That is beautiful. I love how the swords are playing here, which then brings us to a 7, which is through the lack of communication, there was no perseverance in the relationship either. So let's clarify. Okay. So we're going to clarify the moon, how they see you, or how they saw you, or how they see you now, most likely too. I mean, if the relationship is over with, um, you're still a mystery to them. The moon, the 3 of Wands. That's beautiful. Okay. So they saw you as a collaborator, as something you were creating together. They did. That's good there. There was a passion, but it was in a creative way. And you were building the blueprint of a really good relationship. You are the blueprint, basically, in their heart still. They're never going to forget you. I mean, you don't, once you see the moon, you don't forget the moon, right? Once you see those craters and on those clear nights and how you or if you've ever been to the ocean and you see the waves, you don't forget it. So they also see you as the 3 of Wands too. And that is someone that they created, you created memories, you've moved them in a way. So that's how they see you. Okay. Why they didn't prioritize your needs? Well, we talked about that with the 5 of Wands. Okay. Inner conflict, lack of passion, or just being lazy in the relationship. The Chariot. Interesting there. So we have the Chariot. Why they didn't prioritize your needs? Well, they were always running from it. The Chariot, to me, this energy I'm getting from the Chariot, it's moving away. Wasn't moving toward, moving away. So this conflict they had pushed them away, drove them away in a Chariot. And +2, let's go with those horses. In order for something to go straight, it has to be focused in one direction. Some of my cards have the horses kind of going left and right. And what happens then is there's a standstill, there's an impasse. And but with this Chariot, it's moving away. It's totally moving away. So of course they didn't prioritize your needs, because anytime this inner conflict or this change would occur, they'd push away. How could they show you worthy? Well, we talked about the communication with the 5 of Swords, okay? It's clear. The Page of Swords. More communication. But this Page of Swords, in this scenario here, they just I'm not saying that this relationship or being in a relationship was new to them, but maybe in your relationship you had, it was new to them to acknowledge communication or acknowledge uh, the intellectual element of the relationship. There's not a lot of wands here at all. So the passion of this relationship never, it was just not there. It's more of a sortie element. So it was about communication, and it also is about intellectually being in collaboration. We do have the three of wands there. So yeah, intellectually collaborative. That's the word that's coming to my mind. Okay. So we talked about this. How could they have been more authentic? Well, we talked about the balance of passion, the balance. Three of Pentacles. Mm-mm-mm. In the creative mode. Collaboration again. We just talked about this. Intellectual collaboration here. Wow. And how they saw you, I want to go back to this because now that we have two threes here on top of each other, that's a six, which is also the lovers, and it's also based on more decisions. But it's interesting that we have two threes here. So with the moon, how they saw you with the moon is they always kind of saw you also moving away too. This chariot energy is playing really heavy here. So maybe, and I'm not, no, it's not maybe. They always thought that you were looking elsewhere. How's that? They always thought you were looking elsewhere. They always thought that you were on the shore thinking of better things. And the Six of Cups here is strong saying that too. And that is something they needed to let go. So it could be the fact that they never let go, the fact that they're always thinking about you moving on, you changing direction, you moving, and they couldn't communicate. So we have the chariot energy here. It's really coming together. I hope you're feeling this, you know? So I'm working off the threes here. That's awesome. Okay, so let's go to this. What they needed to let go. What they needed to let go. Oh, the Six of Cups. A lot of sixes, too. All right. King of Pentacles. We did talk about in the beginning of this reading about the work element, too. But with the Ten of Pentacles here, it's that was, and we have the Emperor, so they're playing together pretty heavily here. So here you go. You got someone in the past. You've got someone that's just daydreaming, thinking that it's either a better, finding a better deal, or not letting go of some old hurts. But here with the Ten of Pentacles, I'm bringing in more of a money element into it too. So maybe there is or was some issue with money or some issue with property or some issue with the main thing I'm getting here is money, is income, is a job element, maybe yeah, that's what I'm getting. It's a job element, it's an income. They just couldn't let go. Maybe something happened in the past and they couldn't let that go. It's another thing. Okay, so we talked about this, what they needed to acknowledge with the two. It's cutting that veil. It's saying, you know what, I'm going to communicate my absolute thoughts to you. I'm going to communicate my absolute love to you, or my desires of collaboration over here with the Three of Pentacles, stuff like that. And Judgment. That's really good. So they needed to acknowledge that the old rags, the old thought process, the old person, they needed to acknowledge that and let it go. Rise above the ashes. And, I always said this with my Judgment card is you wake up, you take a shower, and all the ashes are cleaned. A new perspective, a new, it's like, it's a change. It's like, I am going to change. So you have the Two of Swords here, which is that communication, that decision intellectually to say, I'm changing. Okay. And they never acknowledged that. They never acknowledged the change at all. So in this love letter, let's recap. This relationship really never had the fire. The fire, I'm sensing the fire that you wanted. It was based more on an authoritarian style relationship. More to me, it was more intellectual. It wasn't on fire. There's no cups at all. Notice that. Minimal earth, but there is some. But there are no cups and no passion. So it was kind of heavy handed. You got the emperor here. Heavy handed in that relationship. And someone that wouldn't budge, wouldn't acknowledge. Anyway, that's the love letter. And looking at this spread and how it feels, you're better off. And thank you so much for tuning into Self Mastery. And click on our podcast. It's great. I think you'll appreciate it. And give us a like. And once again, I am so honored to be your reader. Have a great day.